Number 1, determine the equation of the graph shown. It's so hard to see that picture, but okay. This is a parabola. So I need to find out what my vertex is. So the vertex is the point. If I look at the numbers at the bottom, which is hard to see.
It's by twos.
It goes by twos, so it's 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8. So it's 9. So it's -9, and then over here it goes by 4. This line is 4, 6, 8. So the vertex would be, let me make it a little thicker. Capacity, where's the thickness? I think this would be good. So then the vertex is -9, 8. Right? That's a vertex. So that is your H and your K. And then we have a point. That is a focus. So what are the coordinates of the focus? -9, 10. And the distance between the vertex and the focus is the P. So how much is from the focus to the vertex? That is 2 units. Okay, so that is 2 units. So that means that P equals 2. So if I get my equation, this is a parabola opening up. So that gives us the x to be square. Whenever the x is square, it's opening up or it's opening down. So then the equation should be x minus h quantity square equals 4p and then parentheses y minus k. So we use that equation and then we just substitute the numbers. When I substitute the numbers, I'm going to have x minus what? Minus 9, so that would give us x plus 9, right? Quantity square, and that equals 4 times the p, and p is 2. And then what else? Y minus the k, and the k is 8. Okay, so then let's just simplify. This is going to be x plus 9 quantity square plus 4 times 2 is 8. Not plus, it's equals. This iPad is asking me for permission on anything and everything. Okay. And this is the equation in standard form. Any questions about that problem?
And you leave it with the 8
and 9? And then that's the standard form, just in parentheses. If you want to move on and continue, the last step would be when you distribute. So when you distribute, that would be x plus 9 quantity square equals 8y minus 64. And that's when you distribute. So just leave it like that instead when you distribute it, yes. Now question number 2, determine the orientation of the parabola with directrix of x equals -4 and p is equal to 4. So if you plot that information, this is number 2, directrix is at x equals -4. What type of graph or what type of line is x equals -4? Is it a vertical or horizontal? I see directrix x equals -3. This one. So what type of line is that? X equals -3. Horizontal or vertical? It's vertical. X equals -3, so you're going to draw the line vertical at -3. So you have that line up and down. And then you have the P, which is 4. So if 4 is positive, which way am I going to go? To the right. So from -4 to the right, 4, that would land in 1 being the point, right? So it says determine the orientation. So it's going to be somewhere like this. And then you're going to have another P, and that would be the focus, which is going to be, focus point would be at 5. So how is this parabola opening? It would be to the right. Opens right. Would be like that. So that was number 2. Problem number 3 says graph that equation. Also identify the vertex, directrix, and focus. So number 3, well, I need to complete the square in number 3. So for number 3, I'm going to keep my x's and the y and the -3. I'm going to move it to the right. So you have x squared minus 2x plus something minus something equals -4y. When you move it to the right, becomes positive 4y, -3. When you move it to the right, is plus 3. Then you complete the square of the left side. What am I supposed to add and subtract? What number is that? 1, because the -1, when you square it, that's 1. So the first factor, which is this part right here, that trinomial factors out as x minus 1, this one here. So now the -1 is to be moved to the right side. So you move it to the right with a plus 1, and your equation would be x minus 1 quantity squared equals 4y plus 4. And that's the equation. And then it says you need to graph that and identify the vertex, directrix, and focus. Okay, so once I have it in that form, what I can do, I can graph it. So let me factor out the 4y plus 4. Why is that? Because if I factored it, if I put it in the form, the standard form, that would tell me what the vertex is. So this is going to be x minus 1 quantity squared equals 4 parentheses x plus 1. And you factor the 4 out. So therefore, the vertex is at what? What are the coordinates of the vertex? 1, -1. What about the p? How much is the p? Well, I know that 4p is that number in front of the parentheses, which is 4. So when you divide by 4, p is 1. So I have x minus 1 quantity squared. So how is this opening? Which direction? When you have x squared, that opens which way? Horizontally, but it's x squared. You know, any x squared original, like y equals x squared plus something, isn't that the original parabola that you've been working with? Either opening up or opening down. So this opens either up or down. If p is 1, then that tells me that it's going to be opening up because it's positive. Yes, okay, so then when you graph it at 1, -1, you have the vertex, and then you have 1. So that 1 unit, you go up 1. So that would be at 0. And so to get the other points, do you know what points we're going to be using aside from the 1? Because this is a focus. What else do I need to give in my graph? Directrix, which is at -2. And if I want to give 2 other points, see, the reason why you have 4p, this right here, is because that's going to be the length, so going sideways. So from the focal point to the parabola is 2p, and from the focal point to the other side of the parabola is another 2p. So if this is 1, I move to the right 2, so in that case, the point is going to be at 2. What is it? 3, because it was at 1, so it's 3. And then to the left, 2 units. -1, because that was at 1. So then that's where you're going to have another point. So when you connect those points, I'm sorry, but I don't have more space to the left. That would be the parabola. And it's asking me, what is the vertex? Directrix? Well, directrix would be at what number? What is negative 2? The x or the y? Is a y. Y equals negative 2. And then the focus, okay, focus point. That was 1 comma 0. So I have my vertex, I have the directrix, and I have the focus, and I have the graph. Everything is good. Questions about number 3? The points, because the 4p represents the width, the length from this point to this point. Okay, so this is p, this is 2p, this is 2p. And if you remember the problem about the I on the online problem, that it was 8 and it was 2, is because it's twice 2 is 4, so that was the 8. Okay, so now let's move on to the next problem.